Folks, David here on the Vintage Future once again. A little different angle because my dash mount broke. Yeah, little cheapo thing I got on Amazon, so they only last so long. But thinking how many videos I got out of that thing, it was not bad, and actually it was an experiment. So I'm glad it lasted as long as it did. Anyways, got to get another one of those. I'm sitting here waiting for, picking up somebody at their doctor appointment, and they're not out yet. So, anyways. Want to do a review that's a bit different. It's a bit sartorial compared to what I normally am into. I want to review my Spier Mackay sport coat in Fox Brother wool tweed. Really, really cool. And again, something I don't normally get into. I don't think I've really ever reviewed anything sartorial on my channel other than maybe some dress shoes. So let's jump in. What are the basic specs of this thing and what's so cool about it? What's not cool about it? I'm just going to tell you up front what's not cool about it. Most people probably won't care about this. Some will. It's made in China. I don't know the details behind that. Ethical labor, all that stuff. So for some people, that's going to be a big turnoff. But for me, even though I normally like to buy things like made in their own country or, in the US or, something that's just a little bit more ethical feeling, if you will. With my dress clothes, I'm not really super deep in it. So I guess I don't care as much, which probably sounds like a double standard, but I don't know. You got to draw the line somewhere, and I draw the line in a different place. So like most of my suits, all my suits, are things that you might be able to get like at Men's Warehouse or Joseph A. Banks and places like that anyways. So I don't feel like it's too much of a stretch for me to wear something that was made in China. Anyway, so that's the bad out of the way. Other than that, I don't really know what I'm looking at because I'm not way into sartorial stuff. So I'm not really going to have any bad things to say about this. I'm sure there's something out there that's way better, but I've never seen it. I've never experienced it myself. And so to me, this is like the nicest sport coat or even blazer or suit coat I've ever owned. So yeah, the rest of this review is going to be positive. So let's jump through the basic specs of this thing, and we will get going. So obviously the star of the show is the Fox Brothers tweed. So a lot of people have heard of Harris tweed, which for something to be Harris, it has to actually be made on this specific island where they make the stuff. But what many people don't know, and I didn't know until maybe about a year ago, is that there are a bazillion of these tweed mills over there in the UK. And a lot of them are extremely reputable. Fox Brothers is arguably as reputable, if not more reputable, than Harris Tweed. I think Harris Tweed is popular just because I think its influence became more widespread and it kind of seeped out of the strictly sartorial world into the mainstream a little bit. So people see Harris Tweed and they might recognize it. Fox Brothers, though, they've been around since 1772. They have, like many of these other mills, they've outfitted royalty and nobility. They're known for some of the best fabric in the world. In fact, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure I'm right in this. The man in the gray flannel suit, Gregory Peck. The gray flannel suit is Fox Brothers gray fabric, a gray flannel. And then, the other guy, Italian dude. I'm going to throw a picture of him up. I can't remember his name. He used to wear, the guy that wears his watch on the outside of his cuff. Super famous guy, known for style and sprezzatura, or whatever you call that guy. He also had Fox Brothers flannel as far as I know. So anyways, Fox Brothers is literally a legend. It might be considered the top of the mountain in the tweed world. I don't know. Anyways, they've been doing this since 1772. So when you see a garment with Fox Brothers, it's like, dang, this thing is the best or one of the best. Like, this fabric is like no other. And I have never owned anything by Fox Brothers, but what I've noticed as I've just seen pictures of their fabrics online is they have this really special eye. They have this gift for weaving really attractive patterns. So like, you could get a herringbone anywhere, right? You could get houndstooth anywhere. You could get a Prince of Wales check, right? You could get a hunter check, or all these different things that are common. And the ones I see from Fox Brothers, to my eye anyways, this is subjective, it's an art, they usually look better. It's like, oh dang, I love what they did with that. Like, I haven't seen anyone do that with this kind of pattern before. So they just have this knack, this gift for just taking it to the next level as far as the artistic side of designing these patterns, right? And there's literally no end to these patterns. If you look at all these different mills around the world, they have like an endless amount of these patterns. But Fox Brothers does something special with it seemingly every time. The problem with Fox Brothers is often their stuff is super expensive. And so a lot of people that enjoy the look of it can't ever afford it. Or if they can't afford it, they have to save up for a really, really long time. So enter Spier and Mackay. You know, as long as you're okay with the made in China thing, I mean, dude, it's like you can afford a Fox Brothers garment. Unreal. And if you wait till it's on sale or find a coupon or something like that, it's great. Or if you just sell a couple other clothing items you have to fund it, man, it's totally worth it. And it's a sport coat, so it can go with like anything. A sport coat it's the bomb. Like, you can wear it with jeans. I've done that. I wore it to a wedding with jeans just a few weeks ago. You can wear it with slacks. You know, you can wear it with a collared shirt underneath. You could do an OCBD, Oxford cloth button-down shirt, kind of hit in the middle there. You could do a dress shirt if you wanted to. You're not really supposed to, but hey, it's the 21st century. People are throwing the sartorial rule book out the window. You can kind of do whatever as long as you think it looks good and the vibe is right and you're appropriately dressed for the occasion that you're going to. I've worn a t-shirt under it with jeans and it still looks good. It's like the faded jeans and the t-shirt and more casual shoes kind of dress it down enough to just wear it around. It's great. Anyway, so yeah, Fox Brothers fabric, that is the big thing about this. And I love what they did here. So what it is it's a Prince of Wales check. And the over check has these vertical and horizontal, like almost like forest green, maybe emerald green lines, along with these like scarlet red lines. It's kind of a muted red. That looks really good. And underneath all that is this like mini houndstooth print. If you look really, really close, it's kind of hard to tell. They didn't call it that online when I looked at the specs, but by my eye, it looks like a houndstooth. So this just looks so good. And what I found with tweed, as I've studied the internet, scoured the internet for these things, is tweed either looks super casual or it looks super formal. Even though tweed is casual, like you're not technically, if you're following the rule book, you're not technically supposed to be wearing tweed to like a super formal occasion. Again, the book is kind of out the window, and I'm in California, and so there really is no book anymore here, kind of. People just kind of do whatever the heck they want. But yeah, tweed usually doesn't hit in the middle. Like, usually if your tweed looks really casual, it just looks really casual. And if it looks really nice and dressy and classy, it just looks that. And this is one that does both. This one, from what I see anyways, and how I feel when I'm wearing it, it doesn't look like you're dressed to the hilt. It's not too classy to dress down, but it's also not too laid back and casual to dress up. You know, the casual ones can tend to look like, oh, this is, what you're supposed to wear when you're literally out hunting pheasants in the English countryside. Or they'll look like, oh, you're going to like a nice banquet. This one can kind of do all that. Closest I found is Spier Mackay had some other ones that were kind of like a gun check or whatever. But yeah, this one just kind of does it all. All right, so Fox Brothers, tweed, flannel, 100% wool, 370 GSM. I'll leave that there, but I could just talk about that forever. Okay, so that's the big thing, right? This sport coat is in the Neo 2 cut. I love the Neo 2 cut. Again, I am not the pro with this, so I don't have a whole lot to compare it to, but I've probably had like 15 suits over my life. I have another sport coat that I got from Joseph A. Banks. And what I love about the Neo 2 is it's like we'll call it a neoclassical fit. That's not a real term, but I'm making it up. So what I mean is, and I think that's what Neo is supposed to be, It's a classic fit that's slimmed down just a little bit so it looks correct in the modern era. So if you go like ultra classic, like say you get a sack suit or something like that, or even just a normal suit from like the 1960s or whatever, or like you go Brooks Brothers. So you go to Brooks Brothers and get their classic cut, the navy blazer with the brass buttons, okay? So you do that and you will look like you're wearing the clothes that your grandpa wore. Now that's cool. I think a lot of people are doing that these days. I think it can be a really cool look when a younger guy wears the old school cuts. But it is polarizing. You're definitely like choosing a side of the line. Now if you go super modern, you're going to go with super slim stuff. Everything's going to look very modern, very slim. The beauty of the Neo 2 cut, which is the successor to their original Neo 1, is it's neoclassical. It looks classic enough to kind of go along with the classic vibe, but it's slim enough, it's trim enough to look a little bit more modernized, okay? So it's like a slim classic. So it's not as slim as modern cuts, and it's not as classic and roomy as classic cuts. They have a slim fit and a contemporary fit. This one's the contemporary. It's a size 38 contemporary, which is like their jargon for regular. So 38 slim would be slim, 38 contemporary would be 38 regular. Depending on how you size it, you can achieve either look. So if I were to get the 38 slim, it would look like a modern slim. If I get the 38 contemporary, it will look neoclassical. It will look like that regular fit. If I went to a 40, it's like this in any suit company or sport coat company, by the way. So if I got a 40 slim, it would look like this 38 contemporary that I have, right? Or if I got what's the size below 38? 36. So if I got like a 36 contemporary, it would look like a 38 slim. Now, obviously, you still have to take into account like sleeve length and all these things. Sometimes you can't go up or down. But anyhow, I went like essentially true to size, and that worked out really, really nicely for me. So I'm like a 41 and a half inch chest, 18 inch shoulder. I'm 5'10", 170 pounds, 33 inch waist, like a 29 inch inseam. Yeah, so that's kind of just giving you my rough measurements so you can gauge. And in all suit coats, sport coats, it just depends on the brand. Every brand's using a slightly different pattern. But I'm always wearing a 38 or a 40. I can make a really slim 42 work. I could make a super big 36 work, but almost everything, leather jackets, sports coats, suit coats, tuxedos, I'm wearing a 38 or a 40. And so I just went, 38 contemporary. I could have done a 40 slim, and it's spot on. And then obviously you can adjust sleeve length, but I didn't have to. So if you're like average arm length or whatever, my arms are a little long for average, but it's still within average. You should be good to go. So guys who are really like built and husky, maybe this company wouldn't work for you. I don't know. People who are super, super slim, maybe this company wouldn't work for you. But everybody in the middle of the bell curve, I think this is going to work nicely. In the Neo 2, aside from just slimming it all around, they cut the armholes up higher. That's one of the things that makes it look a little new and modernized, but it's really, really comfortable. So that's the cool thing is like this sport coat, I feel like I have complete range of motion. It is not one of those suit coats or sport coats where you feel like you're kind of in a straitjacket. Like, man, I feel like $1,000,000. I feel like I look amazing like James Bond, but I also feel like I'm in a straitjacket like on the on the album cover for some metal band. You know what I mean? Really great cut, looks good, goes down, past your waistline enough, but not too much. It is a bit of a longer silhouette, but I think it's very flattering, especially, depending on how you button it up. Okay, so that's that. What else do they have? It's got like the brachetta pocket, I think you call it, the slash pocket on the left breast. You've got the Spalacamiscia unpadded shoulders. It's like, I don't know a ton about it, but it's like when they sew that ridge of the shoulder seam with a little bit of puckering. It looks really cool. And it's got the hand sewn Milanese buttonhole on the left notch lapel. It's got nice sized lapels. I was looking at some sartorial channels on YouTube, and one thing that they often recommend is getting a decently wide lapel. So if you get a really thin lapel, it's going to look like a cheap crap suit from the mall, and it's going to look ultra modern. But a lot of people don't have the guts to go for like a 5-inch lapel or a 6-inch lapel or some crazy, like a big peak lapel, because that's really polarizing. So they were suggesting if you want to look a little elevated, like you kind of know what you're doing, and break the mold a little bit, go for something that's like this, that has like in a size 40, like a 4-inch lapel. 4-inch. So yeah, these have like a 4-inch notched lapel on a size 40. Mine's going to be just a hair smaller than that because I have a 38. But yeah, it's a nice size lapel without being so much that you're like, gulp, I don't know if I can pull this off, right? So that's really cool. Yeah, it's got a big patch pocket on the front of each panel. And man, you can, like, I can fit my whole hand in there. You can carry a lot of stuff. Obviously, you don't want to like break the silhouette too much, so it's not like you want to carry your whole lunch in one of these pouches, but it's nice because if you have a large piece of paper or whatnot, you can put it there. It's got that classic ticket pocket on the right hand side, kind of sewn into where that other big patch pocket is. Nice, really nice classic touch. Really, really vintage kind of thing. You don't really need a ticket pocket because none of us are going on trains where we need that ticket pocket anymore, but that's really nice. It's got an inside pocket on the left hand side, and man, what else? Oh, the cuffs are unfinished, which is great, so you can finish the cuffs however you want. I really wanted to put surgeon cuffs, in other words functional button cuffs, where you can actually button and unbutton the cuffs, but I could not find anyone. And I live in the Bay Area in California. It's not like I don't have any tailors around here, but I called like 10 of them, even people that were like an hour and a half away from me, and all of them said nobody wants these anymore. You can't really get them unless you go to some custom place in like New York City or London, because nobody wants them. They're a pain in the butt to do. People are often not happy with the results, and so a lot of tailors have gotten rid of the machine that you need to do it. Like, I even talked to a few guys who said they used to do it early on in their career, and they had the machine and nobody wanted this thing, or people would do it and then not like the results, and so they just sort of got rid of their machine. So that's a bummer, because my dream was crushed. I didn't get my surgeon cuffs. Maybe someday if I hit Seville Row, probably will never happen, but if I do that, then I can get my surgeon cuffs. So I just had them finished regularly, where they just sew the cuffs shut and then they put the the real buttons, genuine horn buttons, but it's a fake cuff, right? They just put the buttons on there for aesthetic purposes. So yeah, it comes with the buttons. You can finish them however you want, and unless you live in some place like New York City or London, like, you probably won't be able to find somebody to do surgeon cuffs, as cool as that might be. But it's cool that they offer that on something like this. This is their Emerald line. Spier Mackay's Emerald line to them is like it's like the top of their offerings. It's their top shelf offering. So if it's got Emerald label on it, and inside you'll see it's like, it says Spier Mackay, and it's like on this green background, like an emerald colored background. That's the best of what they have to offer. It's like their special collection. So anyways, that's cool. This sport coat is also full canvas. So again, I'm not the pro at this. I don't know all of what this means, but I know if it's got no canvas at all, eventually the suit's going to look frumpy, because the fabric's going to get all like wrinkled and stuff, and like misshapen and all this, and it's not going to form to your body. If it's half canvas, it will take the shape of your body a little bit, but if it's full canvas, it will fully take the shape of your body in the torso. It's got these like strips of canvas sewn into the jacket across the whole torso. So sort of like denim or a leather jacket, which mold to the shape of your body and then remember that shape. This is what suit coats, sport coats, stuff like that will do when they're full canvas. it will look better on you than the next guy who has something that has no canvas, because his just looks like a bag that has no idea whose body it's on, whereas yours is like it like molds around you and looks just like you, even when you hang it in the closet for 6 months. That's what I've been told. Do I have the experience to back this up? No, I have no clue what I'm talking about, but that's what I was told, and so I think it's really cool. You're going to pay extra for that, but it's really nice. Yeah, and is canvas the same as like structured? I don't know. But yeah, that's what I was told, and so I'm going to go with it. That's a super sweet feature. As far as the back goes, the back is double vented. So if you've seen a suit or a sport jacket coat that has one slit or split, like right down the middle at the bottom in the back, so like, not to be crass, but like where your butt crack would be, that's called a single vent. Now, if you've got one on either side, kind of like, yeah, right behind your arms at the bottom, that's called double vented. So this is double vented. I have no preference either way, but I think it's kind of cool. I think the double vent kind of draws attention to your waistline. So if you've got, a nice waistline, then maybe that's a good thing. I don't know. Again, I know nothing about this stuff. I just am getting into this, and I think it's really cool. So that's that. The buttons. So I just did what my friend Sean does. He always pronounces the T's. Buttons. Anyways, so it's got 3 buttons. You never button the bottom button. That's just the way it is. That's the rule. Despite the fact that the sartorial rule book has been thrown out the window by many people, that is one thing that people will still tell you across the board. You can buy a cheapo $80 suit from some mall store, and if the salesman or saleswoman knows anything about dressing nicely, they will tell you, you do not button the bottom button. It doesn't matter if it's like a cardigan or a suit or a tuxedo or a sport coat or a blazer. You don't button the bottom button. And so 3 buttons, but it's functionally 2 buttons. And what I love about this is the way that this lapel rolls. So this is another thing which sartorial channels will tell you is a great thing. So a cheap suit has this fabric that's cheaper, and the lapel just kind of lays flat. It's not just because they've pressed it flat with an iron. It's just it's a cheaper material. Most cheaper materials, they've got no body or structure or substance to them. They're not robust, right? And so they just kind of lay flat like a creased piece of paper. But nicer fabrics like this Fox Brother fabric, which is like top shelf, front of the pack, it's got this nice roll to it. It's not going to be this like hard knife edge crease. It's going to kind of roll open really gently and subtly and really elegantly. And so the way this interacts with the buttons is, if you button just the middle of the 3 buttons, you get this nice long reveal of this lapel. It's going to display that lapel and present more surface area. That is the way I prefer to use this. If you want to look a little more tightly put together, mom's dropping me off for my first day of boarding school and I want to look my best, or whatever it is, something really English like that, then you can button the top button as well, and it's going to close that whole chest area. It's going to close the throat. The whole collar lapel area is going to get smaller, and you're going to end up with this like sharp V. Yeah, I am a huge fan of this whole look. I feel like, just like the whole shape of the Neo 2 cut, the lapel of this once again fits perfectly right between formal, dressy, classy, and casual, dressed down, laid back, So that is, I think, pretty much all I have to say about this thing. It's got some lining. I think it's called Cupro. So 100% Cupro lining. I don't know what that is. 100% wool exterior. And yeah, the fact that the shoulders are unpadded, again, is something that I've learned from people, plays into how casual it looks. If you want to look casual, it doesn't matter what it is, but especially if you want a sport coat or something like that, you don't want pads in the shoulders. You put pads in the shoulders, it doesn't matter how much you dress it down. You won't be able to put your finger on it necessarily, but it's just going to look sharper because you're going to have those sharp shoulders. But the casual nature of this with no pads, where it just kind of like the cloth just limply drapes over your shoulder, that is what's going to make it look casual. So, which was really important for me because, you know, around here where I'm at in California in the Bay Area, people are very adverse to dressing up. Like literally, you just have a collar. It could be like some run-of-the-mill cookie cutter, casual, just short sleeve button shirt from Target. And, you know, you can walk into the office with that in many settings, and people will feel like you're a little dressed up. People are just really casual around here. Even in like a nice office setting, it's not like it once was. So you're definitely not wearing a suit, you know, unless you are like literally like a legal lawyer going to court or something like that. Like most people here are not dressing up, including CEOs and stuff like that. So a sport coat is even kind of pushing it, unless you're going to dress that down with like shoes and stuff like that. So I'm sorry, with your jeans and different shoes, and maybe like a t-shirt underneath, or wearing a casual Oxford cloth shirt instead of like a dressy like broadcloth kind of shirt or whatever, pinpoint. And so yeah, it was super important for me to have something that looked really casual and yet kind of classy. And that's exactly what I got. So as far as construction, it looks like this thing is well made. Like, okay, I don't know what I'm looking at because I haven't been in this very long, but the seams, the stitching seems really straight. It seems solid. I don't see loose threads. Nothing seems to be coming apart, even after I've worn this like maybe 10 times. So I haven't worn it a ton. But it seems to be doing really well. One other thing that I think is an indicator of quality, but again, you can tell me if you have much more experience than I, and I'm wrong. A lot of companies, they cut all the pieces for their pattern and they just sew them together and the pattern doesn't match. On this, almost every single thing that's sewn together, they match the pattern. So the patch pockets on the front, they completely align with the pattern on the rest of the coat. When they're sewing the different pieces of the arms together, the pattern goes continuously from piece to piece. It's not like once you hit the seam, everything's like off by an 1/8 inch or whatever, you know? Yeah. To me, that speaks of very high quality craftsmanship for this price range anyways. They're really paying attention. Like, all the panels make the pattern align perfectly except for maybe a couple little spots. And on those spots, I think it's just because you can't. So like, they have these little, like, they're not pleats, but they have these little seams like on the torso of it, and that's how they get the waist to go in, right? So that's not going to perfectly match. I think like certain spots of the pockets maybe don't match because they go at a certain angle or something like that. But you could tell that in as much as it was even humanly possible, they tried to get the lines and the houndstooth and, you know, the check pattern and all that to perfectly line up. So I think it's a great sport coat. I think honestly, probably anything from this company is going to be really good. I also checked out their they've got this like hunter's coat thing that looks pretty cool. But anyways, this could be a really great way, if you're new to this stuff, to get something that's a bit nicer than virtually anything you can find in one of the big box stores, and yet not spend a ton of money. And I think that's what you kind of want to do. Don't go custom necessarily. Don't go spend a ton of money. You know, explore broadly a little bit before you go deep. Like, try a few different fabrics. You know, they've got a ton to offer. Yeah, try a gun check. Try a houndstooth. Try a herringbone. Try a Prince of Wales. Try navy. Then try like gray, or try like a navy Donegal, and then after that try a navy herringbone, or whatever. Just try full canvas, then try no canvas. Try all these things, and you get to see what you like. But yeah, that's all I have to say. So I'm super stoked. Great first experience with a tweed coat. The only other tweed I've had was a Bates Hatters of London flat cap. I think it was like a 5-panel cap. But other than that, I've never really tried tweed. And so this was amazing. And I think a full tweed suit is a bit much. Like, I would wear it because I love it. But getting a full tweed suit is sort of pushing the envelope a little too much for many people. But a tweed sport coat, that could very well be your most used dressy item in your closet for the rest of your life. As long as you can keep the moths off of it. I think you use like a cedar hanger and like keep a bag on it for that. But other than the moths, I mean, sheesh, this thing's great. Yeah, you just like steam it when you need to, and other than that, just try to keep the dirt off of it and stuff, and you got a friend for life. So, as I always say, I hope that helped. Hope it was fun, and let your sport coat take you to places more important than the coat itself. We'll see you next time.